webinar. My name is Felix. I'm from rootAbility, and we now have 45 minutes to share some of our experiences about what you need to do to lobby for your green office. We're going to do this by presenting around for 30 minutes, and then we have 15 minutes for a Q&A. The whole webinar will be recorded and later also uploaded on YouTube, so you can view it again. And in this webinar, we're not going to cover again the basics about the Green Office model. We assume that all of you attended the previous webinar or read some documents about the Green Office model and are just curious about getting started to establish a Green Office at your institution. Just shortly about me, so I'm one of the co-founders of the first Green Office in Maastricht and also rootAbility, the NGO that is now supporting people to set up student-led green offices. I've been working on this topic for quite some time and have lots of experiences of helping people to set up their green offices in different European countries. And rootAbility is the non-profit social business I'm working for. Basically what we do is that we promote the model, we help people to design and lobby for their green offices, and once they received funding and support from the institution, we help them to start them up, to work with them in the first 1 to 2 years until the green office is fully operational. And we manage the network of different green offices, what we call the green office movement. And our ambition is that the critical mass of students that study at European universities get this touch point with sustainability as part of their university experiences, so that they later come out as sustainability change makers into society. So let's focus on the contents. We work with lots of people to establish their green offices, and we always see that there are a couple of necessary conditions that should be fulfilled to lobby for a green office. So one is that the institution, and especially the executive board and the key stakeholders that you will lobby, they need to recognize that sustainability is important for them. And if this is not the case, then it's best to start with some very basic awareness raising. What is sustainability? Why is it important for university? What is the role we can play within society? The next one is that the institution needs to say we want to involve students in our sustainability efforts, so that it's not only a couple of sustainability staff members who try to advance sustainability within campus operations or a couple of professors within education and research, but also that students should play a key role in making the university greener. And the next necessary condition is that it's important that the institution needs to recognize that additional capacity needs to be created. So it's here about putting out arguments why it's not enough to have one sustainability coordinator in order to try to change the whole university, why a sustainability committee is not enough, but also why additional capacity needs to be created, having a team of students and also volunteers that work with the students in order to advance sustainability within the institution. If that is not really clear, then also you will get into more arguments. Why do we need to invest more money? We are already doing enough. So that's a key point. As well as this notion of investment. So green office costs money. Yes, it's an investment for the institution and the institution gets something back. But also it needs to be aware among key decision makers that it's not about investing 2,000 or 3,000 euros, but that the university is ready to invest 30, 50, 75,000 euros in such a student-led sustainability hub. So these are the necessary conditions, and you will see throughout the lobby effort that some of them will be fulfilled and others not. And if, let's say, none of them are fulfilled, it takes much more time to lobby for a green office. If all of those conditions are met, it's much easier to go ahead, and the lobby effort is faster. So by looking at different lobby efforts of people, we saw that there are commonly 5 steps they go through. One is that there is a team of people that want to establish the green office, that those people go on a discovery journey, that they try to understand their organization, the context of the organization, and try to understand the green office model, other sustainability governance approaches out there in order then to determine, okay, this is why we need a green office, this is what it can do, and this is what it cannot do. This is how it could look like. And after this discovery period, after it's really clear that you want to go ahead with the Green Office model and also how it could look like, it's about writing a proposal. So for that, it's the first step is actually to find a committee or the executive board within the university that could fund the Green Office that you could then submit a proposal to. And this is a parallel process, so you write a proposal at the same time as you engage people and build alliances in order to get support for your proposal. Especially the notion of building alliances, so finding people within the executive board, finding deans, finding professors who openly support you is very important in cases where the institution doesn't want or cannot invest so much money on sustainability. Whereas in universities where the executive board says, okay, we want to have a Green Office, just write a proposal, there's less of engagement and alliance building that you will need to do. And then it's about pitching, so presenting your proposal in a 15 to 30 minute meeting and then submitting it, handing it over to the commission, to the executive board, whoever is going to fund you, and then waiting until they decide. So these are commonly the 5 steps. Of course, they are overlapping. Sometimes a bit that sometimes people start writing proposals earlier, sometimes later. Sometimes they do much more engagement at the beginning, sometimes a bit more at the end. But overall, these are the 5 common steps to go through. And in this presentation, in the next 20 minutes, we're going to go through each step one by one, and we're going to share lots of tips and tricks on how people did it. So forming your initiative. So while we've seen why that initiative is important. So it's important to have an initiative. What we mean here is that 5 to 10 people who really want to go for the Green Office in order to tap into the different networks that people within the initiative have. And also to have that capacity and energy for the change process. And normally it's important to have a quite diverse group of students, sustainability staff and academics who can bring in the different networks, the different experiences in order to lobby for the Green Office within the institution. And you don't need so many people, already a team of 5 can go for a Green Office. If it becomes more than 10, it's a bit more difficult to manage the group and find meeting times where everybody can make it. So that's why we come to that average number of between 5 to 10 people. And what do they do? So this initiative find out what exactly is that you want to change with the Green Office within the institution. It helps to create a strong rationale why the Green Office is needed and then guides the whole design and lobby process. So that's a group that can already be there. So let's say you already have a sustainability team or a sustainability working group, and then they can form that initiative by just taking up the Green Office as another project. Or if there is no existing sustainability group, no student group, nothing there yet, it might be necessary to set up a new Green Office initiative. And how do those groups operate? So some of them meet on a weekly basis, others once per month, every 2 weeks. Some of them have Facebook groups to organize themselves, a Facebook page, and then in order to share documents with everybody, most of them rely on a shared Dropbox, a shared Google Drive, in order to make sure everybody has access to all the documents that they need. So one of the key first steps in the group is it's about coming together and deciding exactly what is it that we want to change. So do we want to create more engagement? Do we want to focus on students and staff engagement, or do we just want to use the Green Office in order to advance student engagement and leave out the staff a bit because other people are already doing that? Do we want to increase awareness, collaboration, have people do more projects, scale up existing initiatives? So all these things is things that Green Offices can do, and you might not be able to do everything or want to do everything. That's the first thing, trying to find out if you want to focus on engagement and what exactly you want to do there. And then also focus of a Green Office can be not so much on engagement, because you maybe have already a lot of student initiatives and people doing something within the community, but focusing more on organizational change. So proposing changes to advance education for sustainable development in the curriculum in order to have more sustainability projects focused on operations on campus, to develop a sustainability strategy or report. So these are all activities of a Green Office that are much more focused on the university as an organization. So this is also something you might want to focus on. And also the key question is, do we just focus on the university, or do we also want to make projects within our city and the region? So that's also a key thing that you need to decide at the beginning. So this is really important because the Green Office can take different designs. So you can just have a Green Office to focus on the engagement part, because for instance you already have a sustainability team that focuses on organizational change. Or you can say we need a Green Office that focuses primarily on organizational change, because there's no sustainability staff member, nobody responsible for this, so we need a Green Office for that. And engagement is already done by a lot of student groups. Or you can say we want to do both in the Green Office, so that's also possible. And then also becoming very clear about the language that you speak. So you're within institutional documents, within policies, within reports, your institution might already have a specific language they speak. So some might speak about sustainability, some about CSR, some about the environment, sustainable development goals. And it's very important to become clear from the beginning what language you want to speak and also how you understand sustainability. So you don't need to thoroughly define sustainability, but just get a basic idea of what you're talking about and agree on the common language. Otherwise, the proposal becomes a bit of a mess with people talking about all kinds of different things that you want to target. So once you once you have your initiative, it's about discovering your organization and the Green Office model. So there are three things that are important. One is your organization. So who's already working on sustainability? Do we have sustainability reports, strategies, policies? Who are the other important stakeholders that are not yet working on sustainability but that are really crucial for us if we want to change something within the organization? So that's really important to understand everything that's going on, then also to analyze it. So you can just use a SWOT method here. What are the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities, and the threats that you face within the process, and then also focusing on what are the governance approaches that we can take in order to improve the way we are currently doing it. So you can look at the Green Office model. We have lots of experience, lots of materials on our website, free webinars you can attend. You can give us a call, attend a seminar around the Green Office model. Or you might want to look at good practice collections. So there are a couple of organizations that publish different collections of what are existing governance approaches that people have taken at their universities. And you might want to look at those in order to get an inspiration of what else you could do apart from a Green Office. And it's important also to get inspired by other examples that are out there, because of course the Green Office model is not the only one. And in this way you become much more clear about why exactly you need a Green Office and not something else. So for instance, something else could be a sustainability committee, could be just having an environmental coordinator, these types of things. And the Green Office is really unique in that way that it tries to combine students and staff within one team and support bottom-up engagement of people, while at the same time getting support from the university management from top down. So once you understood all these different things, you become much more clear of how your Green Office can look like. So at the end of the discovery process, you're much more certain about how your Green Office can look like. So first thumbs up is here, okay, after all this discovery, really see the Green Office model is the best solution for us. And then it's about adapting the 6 Green Office principles that form the essence of the model in order to get to unique Green Office design. And this is basically the outcome of the discovery process, that you have your unique Green Office design and thoroughly adapted the principles. And you might, before you write a proposal, already write a 1 or 2 pager or give a short presentation that summarizes the main ideas of your discovery process. And then it's about writing the proposal. Now, why is a proposal needed? A proposal is needed because it's a formal requirement that people within your university will give you money. And a proposal can be 2 pages or it can be 20 pages. I've seen all kinds of different things. And it very much depends where you want to apply for the money. So the first step in that proposal writing process is to actually see where are the sources of funding that we have out there, and then tailor your proposal towards that. Now and then, how have existing initiatives, basically, how did they go about writing the proposal? Because writing a proposal is quite a lot of work. It can take 1 or 2 days, sometimes a whole week, in order to write it, depending on how experienced people are with proposal writing. And we looked at the existing proposals for Green Office that have been submitted, and the majority of them actually have been written by sustainability staff, 44%, and 26% by student initiatives, 18% mixed, so you had students, staff and faculty within the team. Some have been just written by students writing a master thesis or students that were doing a project for the university, and there were also some sustainability staff who didn't write a proposal themselves, but they actually hired student assistants to write a proposal. So these are different actors who can take ownership of writing the proposal. And what we always like, if it's a mixed group of students, staff and faculty that actually go about writing the proposal together. And then what's also interesting to see is that most of the proposals that have been written were standalone proposals. So 88% of all Green Office proposals were just proposals for Green Office, whereas 9% of proposals that were written so far actually were in order to apply for funding for a sustainability program, a project, and then have the Green Office as one aspect of that sustainability program. And then there was one proposal only that was written so far where the Green Office, where the institution suggested a sustainability strategy, and then the proposed the Green Office as one vehicle to implement the strategy. So it's also a way of doing it. And there are always relatively straightforward steps in order to write a compelling proposal. So one is that there is a writing team of people, 2 or 3 people who say, okay, I want to write the thing. They develop a first draft, and at this point we highly suggest using a funding proposal template that we developed. So just a template that you can use in order to write your own proposal. We can also send you good proposals of Green Offices that were already successful, so just to get inspired. Then this writing team gets feedback from 10, 15 people within the team, within the larger group of people that are involved in the initiative in order to see how they could improve the proposal. So that's then normally after they've done the first draft, get some feedback, and then you can see if you want to make only one feedback round within your initiative, if you want to also have a feedback round where you send a proposal to important people in the university that you might want to collaborate, that you might want to get involved in the whole process. So you can also iterate those steps of having 2 or 3 feedback rounds. And of course, use the funding proposal template that we have and existing proposals, so it can go relatively quick in order to establish a Green Office proposal based on all the things that are already out there. So we also analyzed 33 unsuccessful or successful proposals and saw a couple of good practices and bad practices what to do in the proposal writing stage. So clearly good practice is to visit the Green Office to get really a feeling of how the whole thing works, how it looks like, to attend the Green Office Summit that we organize once per year in order to meet different Green Offices, and of course to work with us. So we offer workshops, we can give feedback on proposals to get and to use our expertise when developing your proposal. And the bad practice is of course reinventing the wheel, that you're just trying to do it yourself without using or tapping into the existing network of Green Offices and our expertise. Another good practice is really take the time to adapt the model. So for instance, by having a course that helps you with writing the proposal, or basically taking half a year with different workshops, with talking to lots of people to really adapt the model. And then bad practices here, to copy and paste, to just look at a couple of existing proposals, rewrite them, and then go without really making sure that you adapted the model to fit your context. So that's a problem then later in the stage where the Green Office might have too few students to actually change something, or where it might have a location that's not optimal, where the role of the Green Office is completely unclear, and then after some time you actually see that there are already initiatives that are doing something similar like the Green Office. Then you just end up setting up a parallel structure. So that's something you want to avoid in a copy and paste process. And of course, having students and staff and faculty as part of the writing team rather than one stakeholder group writing the proposal. So that's a very important one, because if it's only students writing a proposal, they often don't know enough about the university to make a very good proposal. If it's only staff writing the proposal, they sometimes have problems putting in the student perspective. So that's why we always encourage having a team of diverse people. And then in the lobby process, to generate the momentum. So as part of the proposal writing, to talk to lots of people, to share what you're doing in order to then generate momentum for the Green Office. And then this can sometimes take some time, whereas the downside is here also going too fast. So just writing the proposal within a week or two and then handing it in and then waiting for the university to decide. And that can then be a danger when you start up your Green Office and nobody really knows about it, what it really is, and then it's much more work to get the Green Office on the ground rather than when you already generated momentum during the lobby process. If you have a commission that decides about your Green Office, it helps if you already meet key members of the commission as part of the proposal writing and lobby process. So that you just meet with them for 30 minutes over lunch and tell them about your idea, maybe even send them first drafts so they can give you feedback on that. Whereas, just writing without engaging people. Another good practice, which you cannot always do, is that to propose a Green Office as part of a policy. So if you anyway have to write a sustainability policy for the next coming years, then you can directly include the Green Office in that policy proposal. And you don't need to write a standalone proposal for your Green Office. And a bit of the bad practice here on the other side is that you just write the Green Office in the name of 2 to 3 people. So we had some proposals that failed, where it was just a staff member handing in the proposal for the Green Office and that was it, or 2 students that signed it with their name and handed it in, and then the university just thought this is kind of a private pet project of those students, and they didn't really see a whole alliance of people behind that trying to support it. So we also have a blog post where we publish the analysis that we did of the 33 funding proposals and then also give some more tips of basically those here summarize very well the good and bad practices that we've seen within among people writing proposals for Green Offices. Now let's focus on the next part. So while you write the proposals, it's of course important to engage people and build alliances. And this is especially the case if there is not a lot of support for sustainability at your institution yet. And the different ways to do this, and it very much depends on the strategic approach that you want to take. So one is that you can go with regards to broad outreach, and this can entail organizing a half-day workshop together with us where we introduce the Green Office model and then work with people to design it, organizing a panel discussion about why sustainability is important for your university. You can also just have an information evening with students where you introduce them to the model, have a publicly available Facebook page, newspaper article, YouTube video. So these are all things that focus on the large community of students and staff that are already busy working on sustainability. Presentations and pitches. So this is something we very much recommend if you have to submit it to a committee. So for instance, if you have a committee on education for improving the quality for education, and that committee might fund your Green Office, then it's really important that you make a pitch presentation already before you submit the proposal. Or you can also propose, basically pitch your idea and present in front of students, maybe relevant courses like a sustainability course at your university, or if you want to have really top-down support from the university, also presenting your ideas in front of the university council or the Senate, however those democratically organized institutions are named at your institution. And a bit more to the right, so this includes one-on-one meetings. maybe a bit earlier in the process, or if you don't want to have so many people know about your initiative yet, you can also just organize one-on-one meetings with student groups and representatives and important staff and managers that you might want to involve. And during those meetings, it's always important if you have already a 2 or 3 page draft of your proposal so people can read it before and that there's something more tangible that you can discuss for them, and also very clear questions that you want to ask them. And then use those meetings in order to get important information that you need in order to involve people in the process. Yeah, and once you've written a proposal, once you identified where you want to submit it to, it's about pitching and submitting your proposal. And we did again the analysis of different proposals that were written so far, and 64% of all proposals have been submitted to executive boards, 13% to specific commissions. So this was mainly the case in Germany, where you didn't have commissions that can give money on how to improve the quality of education. And then the Green Office was there mainly framed as an educational project, so that also works. Or a commission that can give money for innovative pilot projects. That's also possible. Of course, a classical sustainability committee, if they have a certain budget, sustainability budget that they can use, proposals were submitted to them. Or there's also an interesting one, if you have an existing sustainability budget that's large enough, you can also just finance the Green Office through that budget. In that case, you don't need a big proposal, you just maybe need a project plan that you then present to your sustainability team. And then they say, okay, this is a cool thing, we want to go ahead, and then just pay it out of their own budget. Then one proposal was submitted to facility services, where the Green Office is effectively an engagement project of facility services to engage more students on sustainability issues within their university. And the process is straightforward. It's about finding that funding body, chatting to the people that are within the commission, knowing, okay, which deadlines do they have. So some commissions they just meet twice per year. The executive board maybe meets once per month or something. They might have specific deadlines and formats you need to adhere to. So sometimes a format can be that you have to submit your whole proposal as well as fill out 2 pages of a short summary, so that they don't need to read the whole proposal, but they can just read the summary. And of course, once you submitted your proposal, to just send around an email to all the people that you involved, that you worked with in the process, to let them know that the proposal has been submitted and that you're waiting for decision. And then again, for while you're waiting for decisions, so that can take a couple of weeks, maybe 1 or 2 months, depending on how fast the funding body works that you approached. It's still important to remain active. So maybe to already start the first projects, just to keep going in order not to wait for too long and to lose that momentum that you created. And then you will get 2 answers from the commission after they made their decision, or from the funding body. So they will either say, okay, it's a cool thing, go ahead. Or they will say, sorry, here's the cool thing, go ahead. And then you can enter the startup phase. Or they can reject your proposal and say, no, this is not something that we want at all. Or maybe just, okay, maybe you can change it a bit and then submit it to us again. And we again looked at the success rate of existing proposals that were written. So in 83% of all cases, all proposals were completely accepted. And in 7% of the cases, so there was 2 or 3, where they actually had to change the proposal and scale it down a bit because the university didn't want to invest so much money. And then two or three proposals, I think it was, were rejected. And then 1 was successful in the second attempt. So it was first rejected, and then I think it was 1 or 2 years later, people came up again, we want to have a Green Office, and then they changed the proposal again and resubmitted it 1 or 2 years later and were successful in that case. So as you can see, it's pretty nice and overwhelmingly quite high success rate for people that were writing proposals. So that's very encouraging here. Now we went through the 5 steps of lobbying for your Green Office. So forming the team, discovering your institution and the model, writing the proposal, engaging people and building alliances, and then pitching and submitting it. So these are the 5 steps in general. And of course, we offer lots of support for you during the process. So we have a combination of free support that we have as well as paid for support. So the free support are all the open source materials you can find on our website. We can give 30-minute feedback on your funding proposal. You can join the European Green Office Summit that we organize once per year. So that's for people that already have a Green Office as well as those that are still lobbying for one. We have initiation calls with people, so that's 30 to 40 minutes to have a short call to explain a bit more the lobby process in depth, look into your institution, and we can connect you with Green Offices that are close to where you live. And then we have lots of paid services as well. So for instance, if you're organizing a panel discussion and you want to invite us as a speaker, as a panelist to talk about the Green Office model, we can give short lunch hour presentations about the Green Office model if you just want to pilot and see if this is interesting for people in your institution. Then the half-day workshops. So that's a format that we now use very much, where you just invite 20 to 30 students, staff and faculty that are interested in the Green Office model, and then we host a 3-hour workshop where they analyze the institution, where they learn about the Green Office model, and where they then see if they want to go ahead with that or not. So that's also a really cool thing to initiate a group of people that wants to establish a Green Office. And then of course we have the in-depth process support. So that's advice that we give over half a year, over 1 year, where we help you to analyze the institution, where we have lots of hours for working with you, going through all the different steps, having different workshops, having different presentations in order to really make sure that everybody understands what the Green Office is about in order to make sure that you write a great proposal. And basically what we see is that the initiatives that work with us, they end up spending far less time in the lobby process, and they develop Green Offices that are much more impactful, and they then have less problems in the startup phase. Because if you invest a lot of time into the lobby and design phase, you can make sure that the Green Office is well designed and that you have it much easier once you receive the funding in order to go through the startup phase. So, and if you have some more questions on how to work with us, just send us an email or give us a call so that we can look into that. Let's focus on a couple of conclusions here to take away. So again, so these are the 5 steps in your lobby process, and some of you might already have an initiative, some of you might already went out into the discovery phase, some might just be at the very beginning without an initiative. So that's already where you can stand at different positions within the process. And then it's about planning over the next half to 1 year to go through that process. And it takes different amounts of time. So some people do it in half a year, some in 3 months, some take 1 or 2 years. So this very much depends on how much capacity you have, how many people are engaged, how much you need to do very basic convincing about why sustainability is relevant for your institution. Some conclusions to take away. So the lobbying normally involves 5 steps. And it's a very important one. Your lobby process is already part of the change process you want to create. So lobbying for a Green Office is already the first step for organizational change towards sustainability. So even if it takes 1 or 2 years, it can be a very well invested amount of time. Don't copy and paste, but adapt and innovate. So we keep saying that, and also here in the conclusions again. Don't reinvent the wheel, but work with us, or try to get in touch with Green Offices that are already out there in order to just be faster and waste more, and stop wasting time in the lobby process. And of course, as you've seen throughout the presentations, others have done it too, and you can do it as well. So I think this is one of the most encouraging messages, that for a lot of people it's quite a mountain they look at when they want to lobby for a Green Office, but it's actually something that others have done too. And it can be a lot of fun, of course also difficult, but then again, this is part of the change process you're trying to create. So thanks a lot. This was the presentation from my side. So we have, again, lots of materials on our website. You can also follow us on Facebook, send us an email if you have questions. we have a map where you can find a green office near you, and you can also email us for a 30-minute initiation call. That's no problem. We also send around the presentation slides at the end so that you can click on these different red marked links in order to then get to the proper pages. But I'm sure we also have a couple of questions that people might want to ask.